Uh, so if you have any question on this, anything you want me to go over, feel free to ask.
Maybe 4A, 4B.
4A, 4B, okay. All right, I'm going over problem number 4 uh, from section 2.3. Number 4, part A is 4.0 times 3/2. So here you have to follow the order of precedence. 1 second, people are still coming in. Audio. So the order of procedures you have to follow, and there is a multiplication and division in this problem. So it will go from left to right. Multiplication and division are at the same level of precedence. So it goes from left to right, which means the multiplication will be done first. And for the multiplication, there is a float type number and int number. So both of them will be converted to float, and the answer will be 12.0. Then it will be divided by 2. And again, one of them is float, the other one is int. So the answer is float, which is 6.0. And you must have the 0.0, otherwise it's wrong. Did you also say part B? Okay. Part B is 4.0 times 3/2. Now there's a parentheses around 3/2 for this. So the division will be done first. 3 is integer, 2 is integer, integer divided by integer is integer. So therefore only the integer part of the answer will be given to you. That's 1. So 4.0 times 1 will be 4.0. That's your answer for that. Anything else? From entire assignment 6.
Six C.
Problem 6C, okay. Problem 6 says repeat problem 5 for the numbers int a equal to 3, b equal to 2, c equal to -2, and you want it part C. Okay, 6C. A plus b divided by b times c. So a plus b is in parentheses, so that's going to be done first. That'll be 3 plus 2, 5. So we have now 5, integer 5, divided by b. B is a 2, which is integer, times c is -2. Okay, so there's a division and multiplication. So it'll go from left to right. So 5/2 will be done first. Both are integers, 5 and 2. So therefore, result will be integer, which is 2. Instead of 2.5, it's going to give you 2. Multiplied by -2 will produce -4. That's integer, -4. Anything else from this homework? Questions like this will be on the test, like questions on the test will be similar to questions on your homework. And that's why you need to make sure you know how to do them right before the test. Should I move on to 2.4? 2.3 or 2.4? Any question? Okay, I assume you all know how to do them. Then assignment 7, which was due this morning. Anybody ran into any question on those?
Can you do 6?
Number 6, okay. Let me clear the screen.
I apologize for interrupting you, Professor Abram. I'm sorry, I was renamed. I participated in the class and my name was Cotton. And now I change it by Ivan for attendance, please. Notice it.
Okay. Did you want me to go over any problem?
No, for attendance, you're making screenshot, and I was John Cotton. I am Ivan Kulikov.
Oh, yes, I got you in. You were 2 minutes late. Okay.
Thank you.
Whenever anybody comes late, I have to admit you. So when I admit you, I write down your name and the time you entered. So whenever you're late, I have you marked in late. So you don't have to report to me. I know I said at the beginning of semester you had to report to me.
No, the name on the Zoom was different. That's why.
Oh, yeah, I have the last name Cotton, and
No, I'm Ivan Kulikov. It was because of the previous class. I apologize.
yes, I know you have. I don't know why you have 2 names, but I'm aware of that.
That's for my history class. I apologize.
All right, yeah, I got you in. All right, so I'm going over problem number 6 on section 2.5. Let me pick up the pencil. Number 6. It says char A equal to 40, B equal to 206. 2 numbers are stored in the variables A and B. Int ants, and the ants equal to A times B. And it says the program will produce incorrect results, explain why. Okay, this is the topic we covered in the last class. The 40 fits in A, 1 byte of memory is enough, and 206 also fits in B. And then when you multiply A times B, see this step, and's equal to A times B. There are 2 steps in this process of doing this operation. First step is to do the multiplication, and then the result will be assigned. So when you assign to the ants, so when you do to do a statement like this, you have to first do the operation on the right side and see if it is going to produce the right results. Well, the A is char and B is char, so therefore answer is going to be char type. Char type means there'll be only 1 byte of memory allocated to store the answer. But 206 times 40 is too big to fit in 1 byte. So the product will not fit here, and therefore if you remember, I explained you will not get an error message. It will just store the last 8 bits in this 1 byte of memory. So the remaining bits will be dropped. Any other bits that don't fit in here will be dropped. So the answer you have stored here is not correct answer. And you're copying that into ants. Ants being in type makes no difference. The product itself went wrong. So you already have a wrong answer for the product. You're copying that into ants, you still have a wrong answer. So having integer variable on the left doesn't help. You have to make sure that the product will be done in the right mode or right data type so that the answer will come out right. So since both A and B are char, the answer will be char, and which is going to be a wrong answer. So how do we correct that? It says suggest a remedy. You simply have to declare the char, instead of char, you have to use short. If you want to use minimum memory, short will do it. So you can make them all short and then it'll work. Okay, any other question?
If I will use integer, it will mistake.
Integer will be correct too. So here it doesn't say you must use minimum amount of memory. So if your answer for the remedy is make them all integer, that'll be correct too. So if you want to use the minimum amount of memory, then all of them have to be short. Short type will be enough, big enough for all of them. So either int or short will be correct remedy. So if this is if this question is asked differently, instead of asking, here I said it is going to produce incorrect results. Instead of saying that, if I just give you this in the test and ask you what is the outcome, what is the output, you have to say wrong results or wrong answer, something like that, because it's not going to produce the actual 206 times 40. It won't fit in that one byte, so it's not going to produce that. It's going to produce something else, and that'll be a wrong result. And so wrong result will be the correct conclusion. Okay, anything else?
So it's not that there's an error, it's that it's the wrong answer.
Right, it'll work.
Okay.
It won't produce error message. Okay, only if the program is going to produce error message, your answer would be error message. But here there will be no error message. It'll produce an answer, but the answer will be wrong. So that's what you report as the problem. Okay, anything else from this assignment 7 or 6, either one? In assignment 6, several students made mistakes. I'm surprised that not too many questions came up. Let me quickly go over this number 8 in
Can
section.
I ask a question about homework number 6?
Number 6.
Yes.
Write a program that obtains the number.
No, the assignment number 6.
This is assignment number 6. Oh,
2.3.
oh, you're saying problem number 6 from 2.3, this one?
No, 2.3 exercises from 2.3. For example, in number 2, I forget to put a parenthesis in the division part, but when I made the program, it showed me the right answer. And I lose the points on the homework because of the didn't put a parenthesis on the division. But it's only divided 2 multiplied on 2 with t squared divided on t squared. And why should I have a parenthesis here?
Oh, in this problem number 2?
Exercise 2.3b.
2.2, exercise 2.2b. Oh,
2.3.
all right. You're referring to exercise 2.2, right? Section 2.2.
He's talking about 2.3, question 2a.
Question 2a, okay. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time.
Question 2b.
2b it is? All right, 2b right there. Let me go over that. 1 second, someone just came in. Uh, 16. All right, going over 2b. Yeah, I mark it wrong only if it's not going to produce right answer. So unless you write this with the correct parentheses, it won't produce the right answer. When it says write C++ expression for each of the following algebraic expression, you only need to write the C++ expression for that expression. Some of you wrote the entire program to compute that expression. I don't need that. And if you do that in the test, you will be wasting too much time. So answer the question exactly as is, just write this expression in C++. So the answer would be this, simply parentheses x plus y, and then asterisk. In C++, every multiplication must be written as with the asterisk, times a minus b, and then you need to divide by t squared, so divide. You don't need another parentheses for the entire numerator because we know that the multiplication will be done first. So the numerator will be done first. After that, if you write just t times t like that, that's wrong because it's going to divide by t. See, after this multiplication is done, it's going to do this division next, which means it's going to divide by t and then multiply by the other t, which is going to be wrong. So that's why you need parentheses for the denominator so that it'll multiply the t times t before the division. So that'll be your answer. No need for parentheses for the entire numerator, but you need parentheses for the denominator. Okay. So this expression I have written here, this is what we call the C++ expression that you need to write. You don't need to write an entire program. You don't even need to assign to a variable. But if you assign it to a variable, and that will be all right, But I'm not asking for a C++ statement or C++ program. I'm only asking you to translate that algebraic expression into C++. So that's what this is. This is the C++ expression. Anything else from?
Just,
Yeah,
could you explain number 10?
number 10, okay. That's this section, 2.3, number 10, right?
2.5, actually, 2.5, number 10.
2.5, number 10, okay. All right, going over to 2.5, number 10, the following statements are part of a program. Unsigned long int a, and then b is 23 point something. So the question is, what will be the data type of the result of this expression? So a times a, we have an expression which is multiplying a by a and then adding b. Sorry, a by a and then plus b. So when you multiply a by a, since a and a is double type, this product will have double type answer. Now, the question is not about the answer, the data type. The data type will be double for this part, and b is long int. So now this addition is going to be done. So when you do the addition, there are two different data types. So both of them have to be converted to the larger data type. And which is the larger data type? Double is the larger one. Double is larger than long int. And therefore, both of them will be converted to double, and the answer will be double type. So the answer will be simply double type. It's only asking about the data type of the answer.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody, anything else? Okay, so I assume that you don't have any more question on any of the homework. You can bring up any question from any homework. So I will move on to the review questions. Review questions. So this is the test would be very similar to this. There will be filling in the blanks and also writing answers for questions, writing output for little programs like you have down here, things like that. So pretty much, this resembles the test, except that it'll be shorter than this. Test will have 50 questions instead of 90 questions you have here. So I can go over any question, but let's go in an order. Anything from page 1?
I think 1 through 33 is fine. It's
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, I still want to see if anybody else has questions. So I'm on page 2 now. Any question on page 2?
Uh,
32.
32. To compute the sum of two numbers stored in the variables num1 and num2, if I write num3 equal to num1 times num2, will the compiler find this as error? So I wanted to add the numbers, but instead I'm multiplying. Is that going to be found as an error by the compiler? No. As far as compiler is concerned, this is a valid C++ statement. So the compiler is only translating your program, and only the statements that are not written according to the C++ rules will be found as error by the compiler. It will not find your mistakes, your logical mistakes as errors. So this will not be reported as an error by compiler. All right, so explanation is, as far as C++ compiler is concerned, this statement is valid and therefore there will be no error. That's the explanation. Okay, anything else from page 2? Okay, moving on to page 3.
For question 26, I apologize. It was just answer 2 characters, right?
Which question?
26. 26.
26, 26, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, going to 26. If a system has 512 kilobyte of memory, how many characters can be stored in it? By the way, remember, I gave you the approximate numbers for kilobytes, megabytes, and all that, and also I gave you accurate numbers. Some of you were not using accurate numbers in the homework questions, but in the test, I want you to use the approximate numbers, which are 1,000 for each one. So 1 kilobyte is 1,000 bytes. And then 1 megabyte is 1,000 kilobyte. You know, that's what I want you to use. Don't mix things, don't get things mixed up by using both numbers. Okay, so 1 second, someone just came in. Going over number 26, 512 kilobytes of memory. How many characters can be stored? 512 kilobyte means 512,000 bytes. You need to convert it to bytes because every byte is good for storing 1 character. We are doing problem number 26 for that student who just came in. So there are 512,000 bytes in 512 kilobytes. So therefore, 512,000 characters can be stored because every character takes 1 byte of memory. So that's your answer.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, so everybody's good with these octal coding, hexadecimal coding and everything?
Could you go over number 33?
33, okay. If you write val plus 5 equal to sum in a program, it is incorrect because a variable must be on the left side and the expression to be evaluated must be on the right side. To the compiler, compiler doesn't know that you just swapped the 2 sides. So what would be the error reported by the compiler? That's the question. Okay, so val plus 5, if you write this in your program, then it will try to interpret the left side as a variable. because you can only have a variable on the left side. So you look at this and it doesn't qualify to be a variable because of the plus sign. So the error from the compiler will be invalid character in the variable. That's what it'll report. The plus is an invalid character in the variable. Or it'll say invalid variable, something to that effect. The val plus 5 is an invalid variable or has an invalid character, something like that. So any of those answers will be correct. Val plus 5 is an invalid variable, or val plus 5 has an invalid character. All of them will be acceptable answer. Anything else? All right, moving to page 3. You've been all muted at the beginning, so if you're speaking, you need to unmute yourself.
Page 3, right?
Yeah, I'm on page 3 right now.
You can do 60.
Okay. Flow type variable tab has values stored already. So there is already some value stored. Write statements to replace it with the same value rounded to 1 decimal digit. So we want to round it at the 10th. So if it has 6.371, it should be replaced with 6.4. So when I give you an example like that, some students tend to take that as the value in that variable. No, this is just an example. We don't know what values in there. So whatever statement you write should work no matter what value is there. So 6.371 is just an example to illustrate what it is we are expecting from you. So let me clear the code here. So we are rounding to the nearest 10th. So let me explain the process first. So if the number, I'm going to use the number 6.371 as my example. Instead of 6.371, if it is 6.321, then the rounded number here will be 6.3. Rounded number here in the first case, will be 6.4. In the second case, it should be 6.3. So whatever the process we do here should work for both cases. So the process you need to do is move the decimal point over to the next place. To do that, you have to multiply by 10. So times it by 10, that will make it 63.71. But if I do the same thing here, it'll be 63.21. So this idea for rounding is adding a 0.5. If you add 0.5, then in this case, 63.7 plus 0.5 will change to 64.2. So if this digit is more than 5, then the other digit will change. But in the second case, it's not more than 5, so therefore it will not change. It will be 63.7. So if I now take the integer part, that'll give you 64 in this case and 63 in this case. To bring it back to size, I have to go back to the original size of the number. You divide by 10. So divide by 10, it'll be 6.4. That's our rounded number. Here, if you divide by 10, it'll be 6.3. That's our rounded number. So as you can see, it works in both cases. So the process is, I'm going to have to translate this whole process into 1 or 2 statements. You can do it in 1 or 2 statements. It doesn't have to be more than 1. Tab is the variable. It already has a number. So the first step I need to do is take tab and multiply it by 10. That's the first step I did. And then I need to add 0.5. That's the second step. Then I need to take integer part of it. So I can just put parentheses around and put in front of it. That'll find integer part of this whole thing. After finding integer part, I get that number, and then I need to divide by 10. So I divide by 10. Now, if I divide 64 by 10, it's not going to produce 6.4. It's going to produce 6. The 0.4 will be lost. So that's why I need to divide by 10 point, because when they're both integers, your fractional part will be lost when you divide. So this division must be done by 10 point instead of 10. All right, so that'll make it 6.4. So that's my answer, the rounded number. So I put that in another variable, or here we want to replace the tab with the rounded number. So I had to put this back in tab. Now the value of tab has been rounded. I did it in one step, but you can do it in 2 steps. If you're doing it in 2 steps, it will be in type variable has to be introduced, like x equal to tab times 10 plus 0.5. After multiplying by 10 and adding 0.5, you had to take integer part. To take integer part, you assign it to integer variable x. And then take x and divide by 10.0 and then assign it to tab. I avoided 2 lines, by writing, instead of copying this value into a integer variable, I took the integer part by using the operator int. So they're both correct. This is one method. This is also a correct method, 2 steps. Either way is acceptable. Okay, so no matter how many, where you're rounding, which digit you're rounding, you just have to move the decimal point to the right place. I'm rounding it at the 10th here in this case, so I moved the decimal to go in front of that digit. If you want to round to the 100th digit, then you had to move the decimal over by 2 places. So you had to multiply by 100. That's the only difference. Instead of 10, you had to multiply by 100. And that's what you were supposed to do in your last project. You were supposed to round it to the nearest 100th digit. And so you were supposed to do that. Multiply by 100 and then add 0.5. 1 second. Right. Any other question from page 3?
56.
56, 5-6, right?
Yeah.
All right. It's this problem 56 we are going over now. To eliminate the digits found after the decimal point of the value found in the flow type memory cell val. Okay, I'll read the question. In problem 51 to 60, I'm reading the instruction now. 51 to 60, write C++ statement to achieve the indicated task. And the task here is to eliminate the digits found after the decimal point of the value found of the variable val. So variable val already has a value, and we need to eliminate the digits that are there after the decimal point. And basically, indirectly it means replace the variable val with a new number which doesn't have the fractional part. That's essentially what it means. Okay, clear the screen. So we need to replace the val with the original number without the fractional part. Okay, so if I say val on the right side, this is on the right side of the statement, take the val, and there are different ways to do it, but one way is to copy that into in-type variable x, copy val into in-type variable x, then you will be losing the fractional part of val. You will only have an integer, only the integer part of that number will be stored in x. So now copy x to val. Copy val equal to x means copy the x into val. So now the val will have only the whole number part. So for example, if the val originally had 2.34, then I'm copying that into variable x. So I'll only have 2 in it. And if I now copy that back into val, copy it into val, the val will have now 2 point. The fractional part is lost, and that's what we wanted. So copy it into integer variable and then copy back into val. Or I can do it in one line. Instead of 2 steps, I can do 1 step by writing val equal to int val. So whatever the val has, integer part of that will be copied into val. But when you copy it into val, it'll be having a decimal point added to it because val is a float type. So if the original value of val was 2.34, val now has 2 point, and that's what the problem was. Anything else? All right, moving to page 4.
$79.
79. Write a program that obtains a floating point number from the user and prints the first digit found after the decimal point. Okay, first digit after the decimal point. So for example, if the number is 25.732, then this 7 is what we need. The 7 is what we need. So the first digit after the decimal point is what we need. Okay, so there are several ways to achieve that. One of them is to move the decimal point over. I'm going to just use a simple approach, one approach, but there are several ways to do that. Move the decimal point over by multiplying by 10. So if I multiply by 10, I'm using this example to explain to you. So multiply by 10, it'll be 257.32. And if I take integer part, that'll be 257. And now I need to extract last digit. That's all I need to do. What's the easiest way to extract last digit? Anybody remembers?
I'm thinking it would be modulus
Modulus by?
250 or 50,
No,
10.
10. Because if I take modulus with 10, 10 goes into 257 25 times with the remainder of 7. 25 times 10 is 250, remainder is 7. You following me? So there are 25 tens, remainder is 7. So the remainder will be your last digit if you take modulus with 10. So that's the process. So here is how you write the code. The variable is, what's the name of the variable? Oh, okay, we are getting a floating point number from the user and then print the first digit found after the last that digit. Okay, so I just need to write the whole program. Let me erase part of the screen. So you see the process. I need to write a program here. So Let me get the pencil tool. I had to, if it says write a program, then you had to begin with the main. Now remember, you don't have to write anything that goes before the main statement. Any program only needs to begin at main, and you have to have the curly bracket and declare your variables. So I'm going to declare my variable as float type because the user enters a float type number. So float type X, that's all I need as far as I can see. Maybe an int type variable to hold the answer, Y. And it says I have to obtain a value from user. So I had to say enter a number, cin X, and then I have to extract that last digit. So to do that, I'm going to take the X and multiply by 10. And then take integer part. To take integer part, I can just assign it to Y. So Y now has like this number, 257. So I need to extract the last digit now. So I can do that right here by saying Y equal to Y modulus 10. That'll extract last digit. So see out Y. Last digit, or the digit, required digit equal to Y. Y has the answer.
Professor, I have a couple questions. So for the exam, whenever you say write a full program, that means you want us to include at the very top, right, this main in parentheses, you want us to include including namespace std.
No,
No, just
stuff that you write before main should be written. None of the
okay.
things.
So main up until the end of the program.
Right. So
Okay.
up until this closing bracket. Start at the main and go up to the closing bracket, and that's all you need to write whenever you're writing complete program. And if
Okay, got it.
okay, so if it says just write C++ statement, that means you only write statement for that particular purpose. You don't write the complete program. You only write statement. So here it says write a program. So that's why I had to write the whole thing.
Okay, got it. And then my second question was why did you need to declare the variable as an integer type if you were going to use modulus afterwards? Did you need to do integer type, or did you not, or could you have left it alone and still done modulus and get the same result?
Okay, first of all, one important thing is modulus operator applies only to integers. Okay, it cannot be used on float type variables. Second thing is I have to extract that integer part. See, like this, if the number is 25.732, then to extract the 7, that's what I need, right? To get that, I multiply by 10 to move the decimal over. I have 257.32 now. And then I have to extract 257 from that, the integer number, right? That's why I had to store this in an integer variable. So if you copy this into an integer variable, you'll be picking up integer part of it. And that's why I'm using that Y. And then I use the modulus operator on this number to get the 7.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. So that integer variable is necessary, but if you don't, can we do without bringing in that integer variable? Yes, by using the int operator, you can do that entire work, but I rather not write that. It may seem complicated and it may confuse some of you. So there's nothing wrong in introducing additional variables. So this is the one that's easiest for you to understand. Okay, anything else from this page?
Number 82, please.
82, okay. Yeah, let's do 82. Okay, it says employee of a company are paid $12 an hour, write a program that requests and obtains the ID number of the employee and the number of hours. So the number of hours will be integer, and then writes the gross pay after gross pay and net pay after the 15% tax. All right. So it says write program. So you have to begin with main, and we're going to introduce a variable. The $12 per hour is a constant in this program. In this particular problem, it's a fixed number. Only the hours is variable. In other words, if I'm going to use this program for another employee, the hours will be different, but the pay rate is same. So the $12 I don't have to store in any variable. I can use it directly. A variable I need for the hours. So that'll be int hours. I'll call it HRS. And also I need a float type variable to store the gross pay. You can use two variables for gross pay and net pay if you like. Float, gross, comma net. Both of them represents gross pay and net pay. The next thing I need to do is get the hours. I know the rate, so if I get the hours, then I can multiply the hours by rate to get the amount to be paid. So I need a cout statement telling the user what is expected. Enter hours worked. And then cin hours, HRS. Once you get that number, some of you wrote these statements in the wrong order in last assignment. If you write them in wrong order, the program is wrong. See, only after you get the hours stored in this variable, you have the hours available and you're ready to compute hours, ready to use the hours in your expression. At least one student in the last assignment wrote this statement of calculating statement earlier, in the program, up here somewhere. He or she was doing the calculation here, and then afterwards getting the values from user. What's the point? It won't work. The system is going to do these in this order. It'll do every statement. It'll go through these statements in that order. So it has to print this on the screen, and then user will enter the number. That number goes into hours. Only after that, the hours has a value. So now hours can be multiplied by 12 to get the pay. Multiplying by 12 and putting it back in gross. So that's the gross pay. Gross pay means the pay before tax. So the next thing is tax. I don't need to calculate the tax separately because it doesn't ask us to write the tax. It only asks you to write gross pay and net pay. So therefore, it is not wrong to have the tax computed separately, but if you don't need to have the tax separately, then you don't have to. So whatever the gross pay is already computed, from that, I need to take away 15%. So to do that, you can just subtract 0.15 times gross. Now remember, 0.15 times gross, this part is just 15% of the gross salary. You take that away from the gross salary, that will be the net salary. So a very common error is writing this, net equal to gross times 15. No, that's wrong math because gross times 15 is 15% of gross. That's tax. This is how much the tax is. You're putting that tax amount in the net salary, which is wrong. So the correct math is to calculate the, subtract the tax amount from the gross salary, put the result back in net salary. So that's why I'm doing it this way. 0.15 times gross, this is in tax. Subtract that from gross, that'll give you the net. So net equal to that. Now cout gross salary equal to gross, and then ENDL on the next line, net salary equal to, and then net semicolon. So now it's complete program. Now after computing the gross, so I'm writing an alternate way of writing those statements. You could have written gross equal to hours times 12, and then tax equal to gross times 0.15. So this is actually the tax amount going into the variable tax. Then you had to declare the tax. Go up here and introduce the tax. It's okay to have additional variables, nothing wrong. Then after that, you say net equal to gross minus tax. And then proceed to cout statement. And this will be correct too. And I did this tax calculation and the subtraction both in one line here. So that's just another way of writing it. There's nothing wrong in writing it this way. So feel free to write your own way. You can introduce any number of variables you need. Okay, anything else? All right, moving on to page 5. Any question there? All right.
You could do 90. You could do 90.
90? Yeah, 90. Sorry.
Okay.
Can we do 89 after it?
Okay. All right, I'll do 90 first. Problem 90 says, write a program that requires and obtain values for x and y, and then computes the expression, round it to the nearest tenth, and prints the answer. Okay. So begin with main and introduce variables. I only need x, y, and then a variable to store the answer. So floating point type. It says clearly they're floating point type. Float x, y, ands. So we will come back and add variables as we need. So let's introduce, yeah, we need to get the data from user, the values of x and y. So let's introduce the cout statements. Enter values for x and y. We have to be more clear than this and say separated by space. You know, whenever you're using one CN statement to read, the numbers should be separated by space. So you need to tell that to the user. So CN x.
Professor.
Yeah.
What do you mean separate by space? You talking about like enter number x space plus space y, like that?
No, when the user when this program is executed,
okay.
when this program is executed, this request will come up on the screen, right?
Right.
On the black window. So let's say this is the black window. Then it says enter values.
All right, you're talking about the CN, right? Separate.
Yeah, when the
Okay.
user
Gotcha.
enters the number 3.75 and the second number is, let's say, 15.5, there must be one space in between. Okay, when the user enters the number on the screen, on the keyboard. So he has to enter 3.75 and then a blank space and then 15.5. That's what it means to say separate by a space. If he doesn't separate, then the system doesn't know where the first number ends, where the second number begins, and all that. So that's why a space is required. So CN XY, and after that, we are ready to calculate the value. So ANS equal to 3 times x times x. Remember, every multiplication must be asterisk there is no assumed multiplication. Plus 2x plus y cubed. Okay, since we have 2x plus y cubed, I just realized that it would be better to take 2 steps. So I'm going to erase this line and take 2 steps. Just to make it easier to write, I mean, you could write it in 1 step, but it'll be a lot easier. So I'm going to introduce another variable z, flow type z, and then say z equal to that cubing part, which is 2x plus y, I mean, 2 times x plus times y plus y. So that's that will be computed separately. And then I use the same variable to have z times z times z. That's cubing right there. See, instead of writing that, if I write 2 times x times y plus y, and then times 2 times x times y plus y, and then times again 2 times x times y plus y. Is there anything wrong with that? Nope, that'll be fine. Only advantage in writing it this way is this. This expression of 2xy plus y will be computed only once. When you write it this way, the second way, it's computed here, computed again, computed again. 3 times, the system has to recompute the same value. So if I write it this way, I'm making it compute only once and store it in z, and then multiply z by z and z again to get the cube. That's more efficient way because you're doing the computation only once. Okay, after that, I'm still not finished. I need to do ans equal to 3 times x times x plus z. Z only has the cube of that expression. And the whole quantity should be now divided by 3xy. So I need parentheses for the whole thing. Divide by 3 times x times y. Now again, if I leave it like this, I'm only dividing by 3. And then the result is being multiplied by x and y, which is wrong. I need to divide by 3xy. So I need parentheses for the denominator and semicolon. So now I need to round the number. So let me erase the rest of the screen. Okay, so to round, we just went over that rounding process. Rounded number, where are we rounding? Round to the nearest 10th, okay. So take the ends, nearest 10th means I had to move the decimal by 1 place, multiply by 10, and then add 0.5, and then take integer part of the whole thing. And then divide by 10 point to move the decimal back. So when you add 0.5 and take integer part, you already have rounded, but you had to move the decimal point back. So divide by 10 point and put that back in ends. So this step is doing the rounding. We just went over that. That's why I didn't bother to explain, but if you don't understand, ask me to explain again. So that will round it. And after that, you see out the value of the expression equal to ans. Okay, any question on that? All right. So someone wanted the 89, so I'm going to go over that. I'm erasing this now. 89 says an item we buy at a price loses its value over years. After a certain number of years, it has only scrap value. Annual depreciation factor is given by F. The scrap value is the value of the item at the end of the lifetime. So value of the item after n years is given by this formula. So write a program that requests and obtains the purchase price, length of life, and scrap value. So the user will have to produce these three numbers, and we will have to write the value of the item after 6 years. You know, every item has the same thing. For example, a car. When you buy, you know, you pay like $20,000. And then at the end of its life, usually the life of a car is about 13 years. And at the end of that 13 years, you have a scrap value of, you know, about $1,000 maybe. You know, it goes to the scrap yard and they pay you some money for the, which is called the scrap value. And using the scrap value and the purchase price and the length of life for cars is 13 years. So using those numbers, we can figure out the value of the car at any point in time. And that's what we're doing here. So 89, we need to get those three numbers, purchase price, scrap value, and then length of life. So let's start with the main and introduce variable names. Always, you know, don't, just because the problem uses those long names doesn't mean that you have to use the same names. You can just use abbreviated names. So I'm going to introduce float type variables for price, which is purchase price, and scrap means scrap value, and future value is what we are going to calculate. So I'll call it F value to mean future value. As long as I can understand what these mean, you know, that's all matters. I had to be able to keep track of what is what. I need an integer type variable for the life, int life, which means the number of years of life that this item has. Okay, and also there's an f in the problem. I'm going to introduce a variable f to hold that value. That'll be a float type. And we can always come back and add additional variables. So first thing I need to do is get the data from the user. So cout, without the data, I can't compute anything. So enter price, scrap value, feature value. All those three numbers he has to enter, separated by space. You need to provide all that description with, and also tell the user to have a space in between. Then you read them into price, scrap, and life. These are the three numbers he's going to enter. And after that, we have to compute the F, which is F equal to price minus scrap quantity divided by life. And now the value of the item after n years is given by this, and we need to print the value of the item after 6 years. Okay, so the future value, I'm ready to calculate the future value after 6 years, equal to purchase price, which is price, minus n times f. So that's 6 times f. So that is the future value after 6 years. So I just have to print that out on the screen. Cout value after 6 years equal to f value. And that's it. Okay, anything else? All right, while you're looking at those problems. And I assumed all of you have done these practice problems, the review problems, or only if you have done them, then if you have at least tried them, then when you see how I solve them, you learn from it. If you didn't try them, then it's, it looks like you think you learned it, but you don't. You haven't learned it. So anyway, there are a few things I have to tell you about the test. We agreed to begin the test at 7:30, so we will do that. If you start at 7:30, then you will be able to have that full extra time, half an hour. The test is designed to be 1 hour and 15 minutes long. Actually, if you know what you're doing, if you're already good at it, if you have been doing the homework and everything, then it may not even take 1 hour. But I like to give you extra time, so I'm giving you half an hour extra, and that'll be it. There won't be any more time. So the test, even if you come, even if you don't start at 7:30, if you start at 8, you will still have the 1 hour and 45 minutes total. You can, no matter when you begin, the test will give you 1 hour and 45 minutes total. If you have the time, then you get that. At the end of the 1 hour and 45 minutes, it'll automatically submit itself and turn off. So you won't be able to do anything after that. So you need to keep a clock in front of you and watch the time yourself to make sure you finish everything in 1 hour and 45 minutes. That's actually plenty of time. But I have to limit the time, strictly limit the time, because in the past I gave extra time, plenty of extra time, and I ended up having students cheat. So too much time is too bad. That's what I learned. It's not going to help. Instead, they get into cheating. Last semester, I had one section. That was the first semester I taught online, and I had only one section of 271. And I had 4 students cheating in the first exam, 2 students cheating in the second exam. All 6 of them I failed, because that's the punishment. And I was able to find out that they cheated. They actually passed around their solutions to the others. The 4 of them were exchanging solutions. How did they do that? By using some communication media. I don't care what it is, but they communicated. I was able to figure out that those are duplications when I was grading it. And I failed them immediately, all 4 of them, and also reported to the vice president, and they took further action. So this is serious business. Cheating is a very serious matter, and immediate punishment is failing grade for the course, not test, not just the test. You fail the course, and also it's reported to the vice president. So I thought, maybe I gave them a chance to cheat, so I decided to avoid that chance. That's why I'm minimizing the time I allow. 1 hour and 45 minutes is the maximum. Also, in the past, I allowed everybody to go back and forth between the problems, just like when you take the test on the paper, you're able to go back and forth. I allowed that, and now I decided, I should not allow that because to minimize the chance of cheating. So only if I allow them going back and forth, they're going to wait for answers to come from others and things like that. So I decided not to allow that. So that means now you're going to have to do one problem at a time. You're going to be given one problem at a time. And when you finish that problem, the next problem will be given. When you submit that problem, you enter the answer and submit, then the other problem will show up. So only one problem at a time, and you won't be able to go back to any of them. So just make sure
Connect.
Go ahead.
Do we need the Zoom connection for during the test?
Yes, I was going to talk about that. So let me finish what I was saying. You'll be given one problem at a time, and you finish the problem, submit, then the next problem will come up. And There is one problem that is not a problem, it's instructions. So there are 50 altogether, but one of them is not problem. So total number of questions is 49. So when you finish the number 50, you're finished. That's when you're done. The last three are programming questions. It'll take a little bit longer than the others. All the others are faster questions. Last three are complete programming questions. Like in this section 2. Like these questions here, programming questions, like those. So those are the ones that will take slightly longer time. The others will take only seconds and sometimes a minute or two, but no more than that. Okay, the other thing is, like I said, test will end exactly 1 hour and 45 minutes from the time you started. You are not supposed to have any notes or book or anything on the desk. Only a calculator will be allowed, and you need a calculator. So have a scientific calculator available. Also, the videos, you can only take the exam in a video meeting, Zoom meeting. I will be sending a new link. Let's not use the class lesson link because that will only start at 8. You're going to start at 7:30. So I'm going to make a link that will work for both classes. So anybody can join anytime, but you will have exactly 1 hour and 45 minutes to finish. So if you don't start at 7:30, if you start at 8, you have time until 9:45. If you have the time, then you can go on until that time. If you have stick notes on your screen, on your computer monitor, you should have them removed before the test. Now, no other device should be used, no other software, no communication devices, none of that should be used. When you're taking the exam, you should be only working with that one computer with the one software, which is Blackboard. That's the only thing you should be working with.
So Professor, the exam is next Monday?
Next Monday, yeah. Yes.
And you said turn on the video, correct?
Yes, you must have the video on. I must see you. I have to see who is taking the test. Okay, so I must
Okay.
see you. Otherwise, your test will not be counted.
Got it.
All right. So everyone, if you have a problem with your monitor, or if you have a problem with your camera, you're going to have to fix it or find another computer to use. If I don't see you, your exam will not be counted. It'll be 0. Okay, 0 grade will be entered. So remember all that, and be there at 7:30 if you like extra time. Any other question about the exam?
I just want to make sure we submit one problem and that's it. We can't go back to it for the rest of the exam.
Yes. Unfortunately, I have to do that to avoid cheating, to minimize cheating.
So if I submit question 50, that's it. I'm done with the exam and I can't do anything. I'm automatically finished.
Yes. When you
Okay.
submit question 50, okay.
Can we skip questions like and come back later, or no? You just move it forward.
No, you cannot. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Okay.
in the past I can allow everybody to go back and forth, but that's why the cheating occurred. See,
Right. Okay.
understand? The cheating occurred because I allowed that, and that's why I'm not allowing that anymore. All right.
Professor, with all due respect, I think it's in the hands of the student to cheat or not to cheat, and like, I don't know. I understand this is your class, but I don't know. I just wanted to say that.
So what? You feel that I should allow you to go back and forth?
I would like to have the ability to, like, whoever was mentioned to, if I'm having issue, to skip that question and to be able to come back to it. Or if I'm not sure of something, to at the end of the exam come back and check my work or go over my answers.
Yeah,
that's how I like to take tests. But
yeah, that'll be definitely better. But the problem is, cheating occurred, 6 times last semester. It's not that 1 or 2. That's why. All right, I'll rethink about that, and I'll tell you at the beginning of test what's going to be allowed. Okay.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay.
Reconsider that. Yeah, I'll think about it.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. And yeah, so enjoy the rest of the day, and I will see you Wednesday at the test at 7:30 a.m. and good luck in your exam.
So there's going to be 47 multiple choice questions.
49.
49.
Not multiple choice. No, only about 4 or 5 multiple choice. Everything else is answer you had to write.
Okay.
You have to type.
Okay.
Type. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you,
Bye.
Professor.
Thank you, Professor.
Take care.
Have a nice
Oh,
day.
wait, also one thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was CUNY policy that was the camera policy mentioned in the syllabus.
What policy?
The camera on while proctoring an exam.
No, I didn't write in the syllabus.
Because I'm pretty sure it was CUNY policy to that we don't have to turn on our cameras unless we were told before.
Okay, right. During classes, you don't have to, but you know, for exam, I'm making my policy that it is required that the camera.
Hello.
All right.
Professor Kugan, I apologize for that bothering you. This is Ivan again.
Yeah, yeah.
Now I'm afraid what I have no I don't I'm not sure what in a Tuesday or in a Monday I was not John Cotton also. Could if I was, could you check my attendance on a Monday? If I was a John Cotton or Ivan, I have no idea. Maybe I'm afraid to lose the points of it.
On Monday.
Yes, because I have a history class and I have a role John Cotton. That's why a professor asked me to rename myself, and I forget to make it back.
Yeah, you were marked in on time on Monday. No problems.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. See you Monday. Do you have homework for Monday?
No, no homework for Monday.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.
Professor, so we still have we have office hours 2 to 3
Yes, I have
today.
at 2 o'clock. Yes, but I have
Okay.
to. I'm going to have to start my next class, so I have to quit this meeting. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye bye now.
I sent you to a link to the CUNY policy in chat. Catch you later.
Okay.